Good morning. I'm Attorney Alfonso Roma. I'll be your instructor in Criminal Law, Book 2 of the Revised Penal Code. And today we'll be discussing crimes against national security and the laws of the nation. Uh, Article 114 provides the definition of treason. Treason is defined under Article 114 of the Revised Penal Code as any Filipino citizen who levies war against the Philippines or adheres to her enemies, giving them aid or comfort within the Philippines or elsewhere, shall be punished by reclusion perpetua to death and shall pay fine not to exceed 100,000 pesos. Now, there is a reason why treason is provided as the first offense, first felony you will find in Book 2 of the Revised Penal Code, because treason is not only the highest offense known to the law, but it is one most dangerous to the existence of the government. That is why treason is the first felony defined by law in Book 2. Now, we'll discuss living or levies or living a war. Living a war means actual assembling of man or men for the purpose of treasonable act or to completely overthrow the government and replace it by the government of the enemies. Now, under our laws, treason can only be committed during wartime, and that there is a reason for that. Because treason is copied in American origin, and the doctrinal interpretation in that jurisdiction have influenced our definition in treason. The rule, therefore, is that treason can be committed only during wartime. Now, one of the ways of committing treason, first, as I've said a while ago, is by levying war against the Philippines, which act is to be understood as the actual assembling of men, enlistment of men, with the ultimate goal of overthrowing the government and replacing the government of that from the enemy. Now, that's the ultimate goal in treason, by replacement of the government. Now, the second mode on committing treason requires both adherence to the enemy and giving aid or comfort to them. Adherence to the enemy means that the accused intellectually and emotionally favors the enemy and harbors sympathies and convictions disloyal to his country's policy or interest. While giving aid or comfort means act which strengthens and or tends to strengthen the enemy and weakens or tends to weaken the power of the traitor's country. You may ask, what are the ways of committing treason? The provision of the law speaks about two ways of committing treason. That is by means of levying war. If you ask again what means by levying war, it's, well, assembling of men for the purpose of overpowering or defeating its own country. That's levying war against the Philippines. And the second means of committing treason is by adhering to the enemies, or giving them aid or comfort. Now, you have to know that treason under our laws can only be committed in or during wartime. Treason cannot be committed during peacetime because there's no adherence to the enemy, or you cannot, if you will be assembling men for the purpose of overthrowing the current administration. That would be the case of a rebellion or a codita as the case may be. Now, again, treason can be committed during wartime, and it can be committed two ways, and that is by levying war against the Philippines or adherence to the enemies, giving them aid or comfort. Now, if you will have any questions about after these lectures, you may post your questions as comment below, and I will answer them. Now, moving on, same article, and under Article 114 speaks about that no person shall be convicted of treason unless the testimony of two witnesses. This is two-witness rule. The law provides the requirements, among others, that if you be convicted of the crime of treason, the witnesses presented in court should be two or more witnesses. Now, or unless or except when the offender admits the crime. So that's the provision under second paragraph of Article 114. Now, in third paragraph of Article 114 speaks about an alien residing in the Philippines who commits acts of treason shall be punished the same as the citizens of the Philippines. Now, what if the alien is residing in outside the country? Can he be convicted, or can he be charged of the crime of treason? Well, first, you cannot adhere to the enemy or give them aid or comfort if you are outside of the Philippines. And Philippines during wartime, because you could be considered enemy of the Philippines. Treason is traidor sa Pilipinas. That's basically the essence of the law, but it can be only committed during wartime. Okay? We'll discuss some of the provisions under crimes against national security and laws of nation later. Now, if you will remember, under Book 1 of the Revised Penal Code, the exemptions on territorial jurisdiction of our criminal law provided in Article 2 of the Revised Penal Code speaks about the crimes against national security and the laws of nation. Now, if a Filipino citizen commits treasonable act outside of the Philippines, he can still be charged and prosecuted and can be convicted of the crime of treason, because the law states that the crime of treason may be punished whether or not the offender is in the Philippines or its territory or outside of the territory of the Philippines. The provisions of Article 2, if you can recall, applies in cases of treason. Now, what if the offender is an alien or a foreigner? If the offender is an alien or a foreigner, that alien should be residing in the Philippines, even though he commits the crime of treason outside of our territory. Now, again, the treason can be committed by two ways: by levying war, that's actual assembling of men for the purpose of defeating the Philippines or its uh, forces, or by giving aid or comfort to the enemy of the state, or adherence. Adherence is emotional and psychological actual favor to the enemy so that the enemy may prosper or may win the battle. Adherence, that's adherence, and giving them aid or comfort, giving them aid of comfort in the sense that the enemy will be or will get stronger, and the purpose of it is to weaken uh, the the power of the Philippine forces, or to overpower the Philippines forces. That's the essence of giving aid or comfort, is to help out the the forces fighting our the forces fighting our own army. That's giving aid or comfort. Again, treason can be committed in or by means of levying war, or adherence to the enemy, giving them aid or comfort. Treason can only be committed during wartime. Treason can be committed outside of the Philippines. So you should take note of those important principles in the crime of treason. We'll proceed with conspiracy and proposal to commit treason next time.